Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty.
Welcome to the Not Playing Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley
and Will and I have finished Last of Us Part 2. Marcus hasn't played it, but Marcus doesn't mind us talking about it.
We're gonna spoil the shit out of that fucker.
Just use the words.
I mean, I'm just going to start this by saying that I think, as I mentioned maybe in a previous episode, I think this really pushes the envelope of this game in many ways. It made me have feelings that I've not really ever had before in a game, except maybe the last game in the series. And there were times where I just wanted it to end. I wanted it to be over. But I persevered, and having had a little bit of distance from it now, I think it's one of the best games I've ever played. It's incredible.
So it's an interesting one, because speaking to someone who was slightly ahead of you whilst playing it, and with some of the WhatsApp conversations we had going on with phrases, I can't say verbatim because I'd need to look it up, but things like, will this never fucking end? And, oh God, more, and Jesus Christ, this just drags.
Those sound like snapshots for the reviews.
Phrases on the back of the box, yeah.
I still think it is maybe a little bit too long, and I think the problem is that I got what they were trying to do, like sort of halfway through the game. But the thing is, and I guess we might as well say it now, this is not a story exclusively about Ellie. It's a story about revenge, but it takes this weird kind of swing early on, and you're playing as a character called Abby, who herself is on a path of vengeance.
Right, can I do the huge spoilers here, but maybe explain the synopsis in a slightly less randomly expressive way? Yeah,
turn back now, who enter here.
This is the point at which I fucking ruin it. So we start the game off as Ellie. You play a little bit of Joel, but essentially you start the game off as Ellie, and she's it's the day after she's gotten together with a girl called Dina at a party, and it's all embarrassed. But anyway,
the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer. It's the day after that trailer where she kisses the girl at the barn dance or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're referring to that thing that came up at an E3 or several E3s ago, and you're like, yeah, I actually rewatched it again just because I was like, I wanted to be clear on what happened.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool. So basically, you go out and you're Ellie, and you're going on patrol, I think, with a guy called Glenn, and you're wandering around, and you're just making sure the area's secure because you're living in this town, and it's cool and it's safe from the clickers and the nasty infected, and you're fairly happy, and you're going on your patrol, and then you cut across to this girl called Abby. And she's out there and she's clearly hunting some people, and it cuts across, and then essentially Abby meets Joel and is quite surprised that he's that Joel, and he's there with his brother Tommy, and he rescues her from a horde of infected, and he helps her get back to where they were, and then she beats him to death with a golf club.
Whilst Ellie has found her way there.
Whilst Ellie watches, yeah. So Ellie's found... Joel's been captured. Abby beats Joel to death with a golf club, lets Ellie and Joel's brother Tommy live, and that sets the scene for Ellie to go out to revenge hunt Abby. So the first part of the game, Ellie goes out and Abby is part of a collective called the WLF, the Something
Wolves.
Liberation Front, the Wolves.
Yeah.
Yep. She's part of an organisation called the Wolves, which are ex-Fireflies, for those that have played The Last of Us 1. And she hunts down Abby by finding and murdering all of Abby's friends and all of her wolf colleagues, and basically leaves a
So
trail
many
of
people.
dead bodies behind her.
All of them named. I have to
yeah.
say.
Including
Because-
the dogs.
Yeah, all of the dogs, all of the characters are named. So,
Yeah.
you'll put a bullet through one person, they'll go, oh my God, Daisy's... They've
Yeah.
got like a knife being...
That's it. So you
Dragged
realise
across
fairly early on that Ellie is going through and racking up a body count, like you do in every other game, but it's starting to point out that these people you're killing are people. So, apart from the ones who are infected, but that's fine.
They were people.
Essentially, it gets to this massive showdown where Ellie finds Abby, and then it stops.
Yeah.
And then you're in part 2 of the game, and you're this girl called Abby. And it tells the story of a girl whose father was a doctor and a wonderful bloke who saved zebras from barbed wire and things, and had the knowledge and the skills to save the human race from this infection, and finds this girl who was immune to the virus, i.e. Ellie at the end of The Last of Us Part 1. And her father, her wonderful, warm, generous father who's trying to save humankind, is shot in the face by this bastard called Joel.
After he's killed nearly everyone else in the hospital.
Who's left a trail of bodies in
Yeah.
the hospital. And so Abby has made it her life's work to hunt down this bastard called Joel. And then you play Abby for the second half of the game, and you are trying to find out where this Ellie is to get your revenge.
No, you're not.
Sorry, that's it. No, it's the body count. That's it.
No,
Sorry,
you're
sent
trying
out on the
to.
missions. Yeah.
What her story is. It's like inverse. It's yin and yang, because she is on a path to redemption.
That's it. Sorry, and the real poignant moment is when she's at the WF base, and you walk into this area, and this room is full of body bags, and all of these body bags have been filled by this murderous.
Yeah,
bitch who's
that's
out there.
what you've just done.
Yes,
As Ellie.
that you did when you were Ellie.
Yeah,
and this is your dead friends.
So many bodies.
And then you keep tracking down your friends and keep finding your friends have been murdered by this
hell.
evil bitch.
I forgot about
and
that.
And then you basically end up at this horrible, tense area where you're hunting down Ellie to kill that fucking bitch. Because, I mean, she's murdered your pregnant friend, right?
Yeah.
The pregnant lover of your ex-boyfriend.
And-
She's killed her.
and your
your
boyfriend.
dog!
And the boyfriend.
Oh, the dog!
Yeah, the dog. Yeah, everyone. She's killed everyone.
You know. And it then comes to a climax, which I'm not going to spoil, just in case for those that want to get there. But you come to this point where it faces off, and you get Ellie versus Abby, and what you see at the end of this game is the destructive influence that revenge has had on both lives.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking cool. But it's 30 hours long!
It is 30 hours long. Yeah, and I mean, even when you get to that climax, you then get this big, like, denouement kind of epilogue bit where you're like, where Ellie's kind of back at home, but you can't, it's like she can't let it go. And off she goes again, and the game starts up
To
again.
murder.
And you're 28 hours in at this point, and
But
it's
still
like,
not as
and
bad
that-
as Red Dead Redemption 2 when you come back as John Marston. Or Marston,
Oh yeah,
whatever
yeah,
his
yeah.
name is.
Yeah, but and again though, like,
Fuck that.
and again, another game that really liked to take its time. I definitely had shades of Red Dead when I was playing it. I think I mentioned that when we first talked about it.
Part of the storytelling techniques were there, but the point is, trudging through the snow at the start of The Last of Us 2, you got to kill someone fairly quickly.
Yeah,
Not keep trudging for 2 hours.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of really incredible moments. Ones that spring to mind are when you go. There's a flashback with Ellie and Joel, and they go to the museum, and
All of the beauty was in the flashbacks.
yeah. But when they get in the moon lander, the lunar module, sorry, and he plays the tape. It's fucking outstanding.
Yeah. So to give a better description of that for your purposes, Marcus, so in The Last of Us 1, Ellie says that, if the world hadn't gone to shit, she'd have wanted to be an astronaut. She always dreamt of going into space, and they go to this museum together, and there's this lunar module, and she gets to lie back in the seat, and then Joel hands her this recording that he's found of a moon landing or a launch or something, and she's got on the headphones. It's this really beautiful moment which helps to illustrate her relationship with Joel and why she's so angry that he's been golf clubbed.
Yeah.
But then you get this wonderful one with Abby, where she's going out looking for her dad, and he's found this zebra that's escaped from the zoo, possibly the same zoo that had giraffes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
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 And it's a mother zebra, and you help release the zebra from the barbed wire, and it runs off and it finds its calf, and it was later that day when Joel shot him in the face. And it shows the beautiful soul that he has and was, and he just wanted to help, and he felt terrible about possibly having to kill this girl, but it was to save the whole human race. And it's all of this stuff, and it's complex, and it's emotional, and it's dark, and it's moody, and it's nasty. And it was the thing I always say that I look for in a game is fun, and this game was not fun at all.
Just going back to the Hall of Bodies.
Yes.
No, that's a weird way to start a sentence, but
I saw them play at the Army and Navy back in 1987. Yeah,
I take it when you're Ellie, you don't have a choice in who you kill because it kind of steers you towards it. It's almost like this happens and this happens and this happens.
Absolutely. So here's a really good.
You can avoid a lot of them.
This.
You don't have to kill.
I was wondering whether that would affect the number of bodies in the hall.
No, I don't think so. So the way I like it, a lot of people look at games as a role play, right? In the way this game is seen, and this I'm going to associate to Joe Screbbles, the excellent Joe Screbbles from IGN in the podcast he was in, and he talked about it, and suddenly it just made sense this way. So in a lot of games, you are the character. In this game, you are controlling the character through their story. You're not the character. You're not Ellie, the bad person. You're not making the decision to end all these lives. It's just what Ellie does. It's just what Abby does, right?
It's
almost a way of telling the story. This is a controllable film. This is a controllable story. It's not like the open world Ubisoft games or the RPGs where you make the decisions. You're going to kill these people, but you're not. Ellie's killing these people. Abby's killing these people. They are making these decisions that are driving you towards the emotional side of the story. So if you kind of think, I don't want to kill all these people, no, it's not you doing it. It's them.
That's a way. That's a way out of it. I still empathise massively with what they were going through, and there was things that those characters did that I was not happy with. A lot of the time, I was like, "No, why are you doing this? Let it go. Don't do this. I want this to end. Like, this is just." And they totally were successful. They wanted to make you feel that way. That's why this game is rocking on lots of different cylinders that many don't. In that,
is this finally making you feel empathy or something, dude?
No, it's just that.
No.
I just found it. I like the way it challenges you in that way.
Shit, maybe I'm the psychopath. I was quietly, calmly removed from all of this shit.
No, I really.
Oh God, I thought you were the psycho, Rob. Damn it.
No, I really started there were points where if I didn't have to kill everyone, I wouldn't.
Oh no, fucking! I hoovered them up. I'm a completionist.
No, in games like this, I'm not. My objective is not to kill every single person here. It's to get through it. And there was points it reminded me of another brilliant bit in the game. But there's bits with the clickers and all that, and there was the option you've got the flamethrower by then, and you can or you can whack down a few pipe bombs. But then once that makes a noise, they all start going crazy, and it's very difficult to track where they all are. And I found the simplest way to do it was to actually stealth through a section of that. And I only killed 2 of them, and then I carried on down the building. And that's the one.
No, I literally killed everything that came near me.
It stresses me out too much. If I can get way through it without it's the clickers and stuff. They're the real fucking liability.
It's funny that. It was quite interesting. So most of the combat was against people rather than clickers, but one thing I did want to discuss is actually the characters that you meet. while you're in the game, which is the companions you have. Particularly, you spend as Ellie, you spend quite a lot of time with. Oh Christ, I said his name earlier. What was Glenn? Oriental dude.
Jesse.
Boyfriend Jesse. I don't want to think
Walking
Glenn.
Dead.
Walking Dead.
I am thinking Walking Dead
Jesse.
because the character was so close as a badass.
Is this basically like Walking Dead? What Maggie should have done after Negan?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, he's. Christ, I'm going to sound quite racist just because, he's an Oriental dude.
But I mean, you're thinking that because it's a similar setup. I mean,
he's
Negan.
He's that character.
Yeah, similar character.
You know?
Yeah, he's the really nice guy, powerful warrior type. He's the ex-boyfriend of Ellie's new girlfriend. You spend quite a lot of time with him. You realise how cool a guy he is, and then you've got Ellie's girlfriend, whose name Dina.
Dina, that's it.
You spend a lot of time with her. You spend a bit of time with Tommy, Joel's brother, and you sort of grow close to all of these characters.
They're all really good characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the other side, like the other factions and stuff.
Well, now the best one to me was Lev. What I adore about this game, so you've got an openly gay couple as the main characters for at least half of the game, but then Abby meets this young lad by the name of Lev, who turns out he was it Lucy or something like that, but wanted to be a warrior, didn't want to be a wife, shaved his head, became an apostate against this bunch of religious nutters.
Seraphims.
Yeah, the Seraphims. The Scars, as they're also known.
They live on an island off the coast of Seattle.
Which you get to visit and murder most of them as well.
It all goes a bit Wicker Man at that point. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed Lev as a character, just because, although essentially trans character, they really don't focus on that at all. It's dropped in a plot point, throwaway lines, and off you trot. It's really well done, and another reason to get the neckbeards screaming.
Some people were complaining, though, that the plot of the trans person is that they're trans. And,
What?
No,
the world's like that. I saw that when I was in Reddit.
That's a problem, apparently. Like, they can't just be trans.
It's the agenda.
They had to, because Lev's issue is that they're on the run and all that, and he wants to see his mum, but his mum's going to fucking kill him still and all that. And the point of it, he was ostracised from his people. And so...
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, because of the lack of acceptance, whereas he turns out to be a totally cool dude.
I think it's fine.
Who's very good at killing people.
I think it's fine. I'm just saying, the internet says that's
people
a bit on the nose.
To get out of there.
Yeah. But no, they're all...
I'll be honest, you can't win.
No, exactly, you can't win. But no, I thought it was an interesting choice and worked for the story. The story's great. I mean, it does justify itself over the length of it, I think. It's just all those endings that kind of grind me down towards the end.
I must admit, as you're getting to the point as Ellie, when you're 15 hours in and you've gone through this utterly grueling journey, and I would genuinely say this, I think The Last of Us 2 could have been sold in two pieces if they'd chosen to, as lower priced games if they wanted to do it that way, and you could have sold it as part 1 and part 2. However, what I would say is that would have ruined it, because people would have asked, why is it in two parts? I think two 15 hours games is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Two separate games, different parts of the story. As you change to Abby, you get a different weapon set. Controls are the same, the principles are the same, but you've got a slightly different arsenal, plays slightly differently. But they could have broken it in two chunks and sold it as two chunks. But I totally get why they didn't. It's two games in one, two 15-hour games in one piece. You could literally take a break after finishing the Ellie piece and come back in a couple of weeks and play game two.
It's kind of almost what I did. Yeah. So it took me the whole month to get through it. But, and also, playing for hours and hours, that was starting to get me down. I think the longest session I did was 3 or 4 hours, maybe, tops. But, no, the thing that... that would have been difficult or wouldn't have had as much impact is the moment on the bridge with the sniper. Because there's a brilliant bit where you're basically kind of trying to make your way across this bridge from car to car, cover to cover. Because there's this.
This is when you're playing Abby in the second half.
Because there's this bastard sniper on the bridge, and he keeps trying to shoot you, and you do a big pursuit thing, and you finally catch up with him.
It's a bit of a set piece, isn't it? Yeah,
and it's Tommy,
Joel's brother,
and you're like, oh fuck. I thought that was a brilliant twist.
Because he's a badass.
That's
as well.
a finely executed plot twist.
I didn't see it coming
I didn't
either.
at all, no, because you're just thinking, oh, you fuck, I'm going to kill you. And you want, and he's like supposed to be one of the good guys. But this game, it's all about shades of grey. We did briefly touch upon the whole Skybridge sequence, which basically, I don't know how they do it. The other thing, again, we mentioned the load times in Tsushima. There's no loading in this game at all.
Yeah, same sort of level. Few seconds.
Yeah, maybe when you're first booting it up, if you shut the application and
usual stuff. Bit of loading
if you're
tricks.
doing if you're making use of your standby mode, I'd never saw a load screen at all. And even when you die, again, instantly back. Amazing. But the way that these levels are gargantuan. I know it's not open world as such, but there's a section where you go up a massive building and then go across this sky bridge and then slowly make your way down into the pit of hell.
But they're individual corridors, and they can as you pass one, they can drop it out and load. And I think that's where I saw the efficiency coming from. That's why I was astonished, as in the last podcast we did talking about Ghost of Tsushima, the open world.
Yeah.
I think is the technological marvel, but it is delightful. Like I say, playing on hard and getting shot repeatedly in the face, and then 8 seconds later you're back in the action trying it again. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But the Sky Bridge again. What it's doing with the Sky Bridge is Abby has this fear of heights, and again it's building this empathy with the characters from both sides, showing that she might be a muscle-bound murderer with a golf club of Joel, but God, she's so human. And I think it's fantastic. She's not just a warrior; she's got this terror of heights, and you see her overcoming it. And as with Ellie, when you're still building up sympathy for her mass-murdering, revenge-seeking, psychotic ways, Abby, as you say, it's about the redemption. She does the bad thing at the start, whereas arguably Ellie starts off not having really done much bad, but goes out and turns to the dark side, while Abby gets the redemption on the light side. It's fascinating. And when you end up with the fight at the end...
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to do it.
You just don't know who you want to win.
I didn't want to do it.
Nobody does, I reckon.
I tell you what, I was at first, when I was first thinking about it, I was a little disappointed you didn't get a chance to choose which character beat the living shit out of one another. But I suppose you got...
I think you could arguably say in that fight that they beat the living shit out of each other.
And the thing is, you do earlier on get to play as Abby versus Ellie. And so it only makes sense that you get the reverse situation at the end, even though by the time you get to that point, it all just seems like such a pointless exercise. But
that's the whole story, is the futility of revenge.
Yeah. I mean, in discussing the game, it feels more like talking about a movie than a game.
Maybe a series. I think a 30-hour movie, but you'll get a series that is 24 episodes of content. Maybe you look at a series of The Wire. I can't remember how many episodes there were in that, but that was a single plot arc going through, and it's more comparable to something like that, but with a smaller character set and more control over the characters. But that's where this sort of medium is taking you.
It's kind of like watching 2 seasons of TV, effectively.
I don't know. A lot of American seasons were about 22, 23, maybe 28 episodes. About 15
shows that I will not.
You look at 24, which I think of as 18. Because that was 24 hours, 24 episodes, meant to be an hour long, but they had advert breaks, so it was 45 minutes apiece. Should have been called 18, but fucking Americans.
Well, it's their ad breaks, isn't it? It's an hour with ads. Last of Us is going to be a TV show. HBO are developing it. The guys behind the recent Chernobyl show.
Yes. Yeah, it's
like the tone right then.
Yeah, misery. Pure misery. I must admit, I don't know if I'll watch it or not. I think I'll wait for... I'm not going to rush.
I'll give it a go. Some good talent behind it. And I don't know, I'm more likely to do that than play either of these games again, to be quite honest.
They're not games to me I think the first one you could possibly go back to, but unfortunately I tried to go back to it. I did the PS4 remaster. I think it might have been free on Plus, otherwise I bought it cheap, I can't remember. But that was too old.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean. What I would say is that the gameplay, whilst very similar to The Last of Us 1, is evolved in many ways. The stealth improved no end. The puzzle solving was less about finding the ladder or the plank to bridge that gap. It was a bit more subtle. I quite liked the rope throwing kind of stuff where you had a bit of rope physics and you had to find like a cord or a hose to throw over a thing to be able to climb up to various places. The puzzle solving elements were good. But the combat, the first thing I liked was Ellie not needing a shiv. She could do stealth kills on pretty much any enemy without the shiv because she had her flick knife. But then when you switch back to Abby, you did need to manufacture shivs. But Abby was a more powerful character. She was loaded up to be slightly more lethal in melee combat.
Yeah,
anyway.
she had like...
I thought they really balanced it. I mean, she was a muscly fucker.
Yeah, she was a tank, an absolute tank. And she had... There's like a momentum ability, one of the manuals on her side. It's like if you get into a big ruckus and you're punching one geezer out, the next one will do a knockout as well. Something like that.
You get a freebie.
I definitely tried to go along the different paths for the different characters, just to see what it would be like. But I definitely found her being able to wade in a bit. I think there was one bit where you have to go into a thing and matey hasn't got a mask. So she goes, you wait here, I'm going to go and get you a mask. And you know, as soon as you pick the mask up, it's going to fucking kick off. So I just ran right through them, right back to where I had to go. And they were all running after me. And I was just like, yeah, fuck you. Just started punching the shit out of them all.
I think that's the other thing. It built the tension nicely. You had moments of, if you'll pardon the name of the character, levity.
Boom!
It had light-hearted moments, and you're walking through and you're chatting and stuff. But then you get to this little area, and maybe there's slightly more ammo than usual available, and you're like, oh shit, it's going to go wrong. And there's only one. There were very few boss-type encounters.
Oh, there was one. Fucking hell.
In the hospital, the medical centre.
That was
this boss called the Rat King.
Horrible.
Yes. It killed me repeatedly. And certainly playing it on hard, I used every scrap of ammo I had a number of times until I could finally destroy that bastard.
I was just looking for an exit.
But
I didn't know if I had to kill it. It seemed pretty unkillable. So...
Yeah, you see, I take a very different approach to you, Rob. If it bleeds, you can kill it.
What's horrible, though, is when bits of it start coming off and scampering away.
And attacking you, yeah.
God, that was grim.
That was a genuinely memorable fight. Possibly, certainly what I would say, I think the focus on this game was more around the combat against humans, which I found arguably the most tense anyway, although there were some nasty combats against the infected. I would have said maybe the first game was more fighting infected than people. This one was more fighting people than infected. But again, I think the whole idea there is they eased up on the infected side to show your impact on killing people to progress that story. Yeah. Now, I would love to see The Last of Us Part 3, and despite the distress this last game has caused me to play, I will take more of that story because Naughty Dog have done such a beautiful job of making me feel like a terrible person.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, but it will probably start with like Ellie being an infected, and you'll have to figure out how or why. Like an older Ellie.
Well, you say that.
I go back, and you'll probably.
I think they'll have to find.
Well, that's the kind of. I just find that's the only story that a lot of post-apocalyptic ones tend to do.
I'm not convinced, actually. I would suggest the next story will probably feature Ellie, but maybe in the same way that The Last of Us 2 featured Joel. I would expect to see more from Abby and Lev, but possibly even Lev, to take the story on, because that will really fuck off the neck.
Yeah, that seems like
in the best possible way.
That seems like a totally logical way for it to go.
It's a risk for Sony, and it's a risk for Naughty Dog, but I think it's the sort of gamble that they will absolutely take. I would love to see Lev's story, the ex-Scar, moving on, possibly taking on Abby's quest to find and reunite the Fireflies, and I think that'd be a really good way to take it. But bringing in some of the characters that we've met along the way that are still alive, I think
also
would be great.
What's cool about Lev, I suppose Ellie's the same as well, is that they don't really have very much experience of the world before. So
yeah, Lev can level up.
Level up, yeah.
They
could definitely do more. I think I'm not desperate for it. I'd like to see. I think I've said it before, but I'd rather see more Uncharted or a new IP from Naughty Dog. Quite honestly,
I want a new IP. To be honest, Uncharted, as far as I'm concerned, were good games, but have kind of
just like
had their
or
time.
Just that in
Last of Us
just that
was
in
beautiful,
space.
but I'd love to see a new IP. Yeah, well, just take it somewhere new. Take it historical. Take it to space.
Charted.
Take it. Yeah,
I think if they do something, it will be very unique and will be more than simply a genre. Because I think Last of Us has always been much more than just exercising the zombie post-apocalyptic genre. It's been a totally human story, and it's gone to places that no other game's gone before. I think it's a towering achievement in the medium, and I know it's unfair to say in a year that's been severely hampered by a pandemic, but it's kind of towering above every movie that I've seen this year, as well. So
it was a roller coaster. It was a genuine roller coaster. But I don't need another one for a couple of years. It was
once
too
a
much.
decade is just fine. Thanks for listening to the Not Playing Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Watching Podcast, where me and Marcus talk about movies and TV, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam, Ash and Will talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet out or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard there, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, stay safe out there.
To agree 'cause I suck at Call of Duty.